good morning. Welcome to this Mark's Reviews and Tutorials video. Today we're going to be fitting a tow bar onto this F25 BMW. And the first question you may be asking is, well, how much of this car do I have to pull apart to get the bar on? And unfortunately, this whole lower bar part here has to come off. There's a crush bar in behind this part of the bumper here, an aluminium bar. It's got to come off. The tow bar's got to go on. There's no shortcut way of poking it up and not doing it. We have to take the bar off, and we've got screws all the way around this holding it in place. It's just time consuming. It's not particularly hard. Step one that I've done, you can see the car's a bit wet now. I've given it a wash. It's very simply because if you've got dirt all over, you're going to end up scratching this and making a mess. So give it all of a wash. I've given it a spray up underneath as well, just to give us a clean workspace to start. We're going to be taking off these guards. So we've got the rivets under here, and the lower section of this down here we're going to be taking off to loosen it so that we can undo the bumper at the back. And there's bolts up underneath. Okay, so down underneath here you've got bolts on the very outside, but go down the next level, the other side, the black thing, you see these bolts up here. We're going to undo those, and you can see we've got bolts down around the side we're attaching. We're going to undo those. Just going to start to undo all these bits, also the trim on the wheel. Okay, so we have those 10mm bolts off, and I've just flexed that down now off the bolts so it's not connected anymore. We're going to have to take the tail lights out in order to be able to get these bolts off underneath here. We'll take this splash guard off. That just presses straight vertically up, and then we'll get access to the bolts, and then it's coming out. Actually came out that way, and then as you can see, we've got access to the bolts. So once you have those two nuts off, that does, this one's nice and loose. On an F31 I was working on, it was super duper tight, but that just comes straight off. You see there's a little spear bit of plastic here which holds into this rubber grommet here, and that's what keeps it and locates it in the back there. So now see the bumper is held on with that bolt there. Actually don't have to take the tail light out to access that bolt, and clips around the side there. All right, so now down underneath on both sides there's a couple of 8mm bolts, and then around here inside the wheel arch we've got an 8mm there, and we've got these rivets here. And what we do with these, we pop the inside out and then pull the rivet out. That bolt out of there, as you can see, she's just a bit bigger. The little one's the one that came out from underneath here, and the slightly bigger one is the one that goes back in there. So just remember that when you're putting them back in. Okay, so these little plastic rivets here, they need the center hammered in. I've just grabbed hold of a screw here and a ball peen hammer, and I'm actually using the side of it because I've not taken the wheel off. So holding that in place on the top and then banging it with the side of that ball peen hammer has been enough to press that in. And once you press that little pin through, then you'll be able to pull this clip out. Okay, so here's the rivet. I've pressed the pin through in the middle, and then you can just get a screwdriver underneath and lever that out. And here you go. You see that pin? These are a single use. They're pulled through and snapped up. You can't push that in and then pull that back through again. Okay, so we've taken those out, and now you see these will flex apart. You see this part here, it's got a little slot which is received by that part there, so they come together. And you see there's pins in there where this clips into place. So now again, don't go breaking your clips off. If you break your clips, it's never going to sit back and sit flush again like you want. So you work your clips out around the outside edge and get it so you can release. So you see in the middle of the clip there is that retainer. When you press that in, it enables the clip to come out. See, that's now out. So the next one around, we'll find him. We're looking for that centerpiece there. Press that in. Coming over the top with a screwdriver, a very little screwdriver over the top like that, press it in, and then it'll pop out. We do need to take that third pin out, which will get us up here and get one more of these clips out, and then we'll have access here. You see these bolts underneath, 1 and 2, and we've got ourselves a little clip there as well. Okay, so we take those two 8mm out. You can see here's the line of the bumper. That's what the bit we're trying to get out. So we've got that out, and they are the same size as the bigger one underneath. So that is now unclipped off here. Okay, so the next clip we need to get into is actually under this reflector here, and there's a clip here which comes straight out. So we just need to get in under here and clip it out like that. See the metal clip here, and then back here that's held in with a point. So you don't come from the outside, come from this side. Just get in and release that metal clip. Do that on both sides, and there's another 8mm there. What I'm using to release these is a Ryobi drill. Love these. I'll put a link to one that's got a clutch like this. They're not expensive, but for the home handyman, they're just absolutely brilliant. They're so versatile. You've got a clutch here, so you can determine how tight they do things up, which is just brilliant for when you're doing up bolts and plastic things. The drill setting around here is for when you're drilling, but I just keep that down low. It's enough for undoing, and it's so you don't reef things up too tight. It saves you mucking up. It's also very, very quick. I mean, that's on the undo direction. Have a look at this 8mm here. We've got to get out, stick it on, and like that. Simple to get your bolts out. Super quick and super safe. As long as you use that clutch, is really good. I'll also put a link through to these 8mm extensions. Get yourself some good tools. You don't think I was worth it for one job, but if you're working on your car, you'll keep working on your car doing different things. So get yourself some decent tools. Have a look at the links in the description of the video. I'll pick out brands that I believe are good. Of course, you can get better brands than Ryobi, but most of us don't need that. These have got a very good replacement warranty on them, so that's normally well and truly enough. Okay, so now what's left is to unclip this where the body line is here between the bumper and the guard. You see these holes here? There's vertical clips that are holding that into place, and it's a matter of you have to press the clip down and the bumper bit goes up and the clip has to go down, and we're just about off. This is the last one. See, there's one there and one there, and the last one is right there. So we'll just gently, you're going to need these pry tools. There we go, that's the third one off. That's now disconnected here at the top. Under the side of the car here, this forward-facing bolt does need to come off as well. It's attaching to the chassis, not just attaching these two parts together. So we'll take those two off as well. Okay, so the last thing to release is this clip. Here we go. Tilting it up is actually undoing it. And then we've got wires here. We want to unplug that. Okay, so once you've got that plug out, look at that. We're away. The rest of this, I really believe, is going to be easy. So we've got this aluminium crash bar. This is an anti-intrusion, something that's designed to crumple. So we're going to bolt that off. Those bolts are actually under this plastic piece here. So we're going to have to take that plastic piece off and then unbolt that, and then we'll be bolting the tow bar on. So we're going to take this rear black panel off. They separate here on the corner, and it's just these 10mm bolts all the way around. So just go around, and it splits in half here as well. We're going to need both sides, so all of those 10mm bolts off, take those two plastic panels off, and then we'll be able to get at the bolts. Okay, we've got the first side off, but the loom here is attached, and it's also attached to the back of this. So we're going to have to, because we're taking this off, we have to cut that off with some snips, and the same here and here, and then we'll reattach with some zip ties when we put it all back together. Okay, so those black plastic panels are both off. This side's easy, there's no loom attached. I left the plug on rather than break it off. I'm going to drop that out and then put the bar back on. Remember, it has to come out over the top. But we are now up to the big boys. So we're going to get my big sockets and take off that aluminium crush bar.